Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton, and along with me, I have written it down, as always, is the miniature maiden of mandatory completion, Bethany McChesney.
So you didn't get that one from the top of your head last minute.
No, I wrote it down like 10 minutes ago.
No, good.
I did prep work. And we are brought to you by Duonamic, creators of cool ass door frame things that are awesome. And they actually, Duonamic is giving away at the upcoming Deca Strong. They're giving away one to the both male and female winners, which is super cool. Little added bonus for Deca Strong. Not that you can sign up anyway, but next time, maybe we'll get them.
Yeah.
You know what? We have a new sponsor, but I'm going to tell you about that later. So we'll go through that later on. So today we're obviously we're jacked. I'm all excited. I was crap at work today. I was pretty useless. Like I'm not really good at work normally. I I'm surprised shit holds together. But yeah, it was all OCRWC. It was all in my head. And in reality, we were slow. So that means I had more time to like look at my phone and scan for shit and talk to people. And like, it's no good. It's just no good. But so we hadn't started recording, and we do have we might have a guest coming. Hopefully, we'll see how that goes. But we got talking about obstacles, and then Ryan made a good point. Why the hell aren't you recording this? So let's start again. So
did you want to talk about some of the obstacles and the names?
yeah, let's go through it, because you said there's some of them that you have no idea what they are, and let's go through the ones that we just talked about anyway, and we'll go through that, because you said, what was the first one you asked about? Was
Canyon.
Okay, so Canyon, like Canyon, like I said, last year was there. It's an inverted Valkyrie, so you're going to start high on the rings, and then you're going to go down on a 45-degree angle, and then come back up the other side. They did it two ways last year. For the 3K, it was like nasty hard and really low. People had to get really tight up. So I mean, for you, me, really not too bad. But anybody over 6 foot tall, like a Jack Bauer or something like that, had to get super cramped up there, and that was a little bit difficult. And then they I didn't really like this, but I get the reasoning behind it. They kind of nerfed it for the 15K, and they raised it up, so you didn't have to come. But then a guy like Leon came along and pretty much just swung straight under it and right to the other side.
Yeah.
So I don't know what one we're going to see. Maybe.
So they were like, oh, this is hard for the tall people and gives the short people an advantage. We should change it. Why?
Exactly. Yeah. For the first time ever. Do you remember the first year we did OCRWC 2017 and Skull Valley, how high it was to get started?
I couldn't get on it.
Jeff, my son Jeff, that was his first year doing it. He was 13, and it took him. He had no problem doing the obstacle, but it took him 6 tries to get started.
Yeah, I had to climb up the thing attached to the ring to even like get my fingertips on it, and I just at that point my band was gone. So that was my like 3rd OCR race ever.
And everybody said, "Oh, just jump, just do this, just do that." And now they all whined about Canyon.
I know. Yeah.
But yes, so that's Canyon. What else do we got?
Triumph.
Like I said, that's Dragon's Back essentially. If I could be mistaken, but in the past it has been like Dragon's Back. And so essentially you are jumping from one platform across to another one that'll be on a very steep angle with a bar over top. You grab the bar, your feet land on the platform. And I don't know how many sections will be. Sometimes they have a cargo net and a rope climb at the end of it. Remains to be seen.
Yeah. Ricochet. This is the one where it's the rings and you have to push off a wall to change direction, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And this one was there last year.
Yeah, it was right near the end. It seems to be right near the end again. I haven't done this one yet, but it looks like a lot of fun.
It does look fun, yeah.
I have heard that sometimes for some short people, so they'll make it easier, obviously. That ricochet, literally that bounce off the wall, you really got to push far to get that first reach.
Okay, good to know. Twist on life.
No clue.
Okay.
No, that's not twist. That's not twist on life. No, I know what you're talking. She thinks it's the hockey roller one, but it's not. That's something else, I think.
My download version is actually pretty blurry.
Oh,
So we don't know what that one is.
okay. Well, I've got, this is just the 3K map I've got there. Oh, Twist on Life. No, I think you're right. Yeah, Riley's right. It is the hockey version one. So it's that you'll have like,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
where
We've
you're
been practicing
rolling.
this all our lives. Yeah,
Right. This is what every kid in Canada grows up doing to strengthen their wrist shot.
that's right. Yeah.
Good. And the one after that says descent or
So Descent is generally a, sorry, a downhill rig, and I believe it was a bit of a low rig last year.
okay, nice. I like those. We were discussing Stairway 3.0.
Okay. So I'll say this, like I said, Stairway 3.0, I really don't know, but I do know Stairway 2.0 was made by Battle of the Lions, so Sid and those guys, and it was essentially almost kind of like Valkyrie, but with the different attachments. Instead of rings, you had those kind of T-bar step attachments that you have on the Force 5 rig, right? So upside, those do swing, which is nice as opposed to regular Stairway. And you can also grab from each side, therefore making an opposing grip. That helps a lot. So you get a little more versatility in how you can climb up it. And you can also chicken wing it quite well on the way down, or
Nice.
even on the way up, right? So you can kind of hug the bar and climb up and hug the bar that way.
Mhm.
Downside is, especially if it gets wet, is those steel painted T-bars get very slick. So
Oh yeah.
so weather can have a lot to do with it. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's Stairway 2.0. Stairway 3.0, no clue. Been searching, been digging, got nothing.
Hmm. Yeah, I hope because I don't see the regular stairway otherwise or the traditional wood one. So I hope this is just like the regular stairway with a ring or a bar and then the transition down.
Yeah, it's not going to be tough break.
Darn it.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Because the old one was a wooden one, right? And it was starting to fall apart. And I think now they've gone to assembling so many obstacles with that kind of scaffold tubing, that tubing clamp scaffold style, because it is
Yeah.
very easy to disassemble, to reassemble, and to, to send on its way to store.
Yeah.
So
And again, when it gets wet, like this one was nasty in 2018 when it was wet.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, And we're also saying stairway, traditional stairway was an obstacle. In 2019, it was the seventh or eighth obstacle in a whole line of really grip intensive obstacles that went through the festival area. You come out of the festival area, you're super, super pumped. And then they had stairway, the regular stairway 1.0. And I had heard that something like 60 to 65% of females lost their band on stairway. So then and then the next year we saw it with the ring or the bar. So again, I don't know if they kind of evaluated, if they look at the stats about is maybe an obstacle too hard. I think the placement of that one in that race was really what the demise of it is coming out of 7 grip intensive obstacles to then have to do a really difficult obstacle.
Yeah.
And again, that transition is so hard going across the top for someone whose wingspan is almost the length of the transition. So yeah, so I think that's why they changed it. So I'm curious to see what 3.0 is now.
We get back into it. Okay, so confidence climb. Confidence climb. It's more, I think, yeah, that's probably midway. 13. Yeah, that's kind of, if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of like almost like a barn door slash skid pallet kind of climb over wall. It's a wall.
Yeah, right. A really high wall.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's very easy to climb. It's not like a regular 8 foot or 10 foot Spartan wall kind of deal.
right. Okay, what's the snake pit?
Snake pit, Tarzan ropes, essentially. So yeah, you got a bunch of ropes hanging down. You got to traverse horizontally across the Tarzan ropes.
Okay, so you can use your feet. That one's
Yep.
fine.
Yep. Shouldn't be too bad.
Okay, and the 2014 rig.
That's nostalgia, man.
This was before my OCR time.
So I think, and if I'm not mistaken, people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it is essentially it's a platinum rig.
Mhm.
But it is the same setup, I believe, that they had in 2014, which was the first year of OCRWC, and the rig destroyed everybody.
Oh boy, so let's bring it back.
No, but see, the difference is now everybody in 2014, nobody had seen a rig, and everybody's like, what the fuck do I do with this? Which
Right, right,
everybody's confused and lost and dropping left, right, and center. But now you look at it, and it's like, okay, that's challenging, but it's, I know what to do, right?
right.
The rig.
So it's just kind of a random, it's assortment of different grips and stuff.
Yeah, there is actually there was a picture of it on, I'd be damned, I see so much Instagram that I don't remember whose it was, but there actually was a video of it,
Was
I think.
was it when
Hey, Wiki.
Ulrich,
Yeah.
yeah, when
VJ
she was
Shoes.
running?
Yeah, VJ Shoes put it. VJ Shoes has been putting out lots of videos, which is really cool, or
Mhm.
info. But I have it right here, and essentially, so you're looking at a ring to a T-bar to a vertical rope to a stirrup to a horizontal bar to low monkey bars to another stirrup T-bar to a ring.
Nice. Okay, so it's doable. It sounds like the one actually in 2017.
Yeah, it kind of is a little similar, yeah. And it looks like those monkey bars are low too, so you're gonna have to be up and tight, so or short.
And you won't be able to use your feet on them.
I don't think so. I would be surprised if you were able to use your feet on it, but who knows? Sometimes the rules are different. I don't see in the video any padding below it, and generally, if there's no padding, you're not allowed to use your feet.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
that's what I usually go by. If there's padding, feet are okay. If there's not, then too scary because if anyone falls, bam.
Yeah. And the Force 5 rig that's at the beginning, do you think this one will be like it was?
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah,
that classic setup, kind of the what is it like?
with the big ring, the big
Big
wheels.
ring in the middle, T bars on the other side, and yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really fun flowy rig.
Yeah,
Not
it is.
it's not like a killer challenge. I mean, it's still, it's a rig you're hanging. Some people will find it difficult, but it's a fun flowy one. And I have seen somebody jump from the end, grab the wheel, and hit the bell.
Really.
Yeah, I was tempted to try it one time because I volunteered there for a little while, and I was tempted to try it, and they had lots of hay down below. But I wasn't worried about falling. I was worried about cracking my head or something on the way to the ring in the middle,
Hitting,
like
yeah.
and getting hit do there. So I was too cowardly. I didn't do it.
The risk was not worth the reward.
Yeah, was it the juice wasn't worth the squeeze or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah, those are the only ones that I didn't know.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a lot of things that are different. I am really interested in drop zone, not knowing what drop zone is, other than it's a rig type obstacle. If you read in the rules, that one got me because that is on the 3K,
Hmm.
and I think those are the only ones. Ones people have difficulty with, right? That maybe we can help out a little bit. Lagaff, right? I've seen a lot of people struggle with Lagaff, and I've always thought that was like Northman made that obstacle, and it's a great obstacle. It was really well done. Um, Very inventive, very creative, and there's still not really anything like it.
Yeah.
So people don't get to practice it very much because it's not a strength thing. It's a technique thing. And I found there's two ways to do it. One, if there's pegs low on the board, so sometimes on the wood, and you'll see there's little foot spaces on the 2x4s down the bottom. You can rest there, get behind it, and pull because you're at a good enough angle. So if that's the case, you can drop low. Sometimes on the steel bars, it almost looks like there's a washer welded around the bottom. On the poles, you can do it then too. But when there's not, that's a little more difficult. So you have to be a little careful when you drop down lower. If you're up at the top and you're trying to pull it back just from stagnant position, it will not work. You're just going to stand there looking foolish or hang there looking foolish. What I like to do when I get on that thing is just like everything else, use momentum. So when you get the first one to go, I grab the second one and almost give a pull back and jump onto it and slide around, and that momentum carries it over. So it's a little more advanced, but it's a little faster, and I find it works good. So just something to play with if you want to, but if there's foot pegs, get low and do your thing from there.
Hmm. And if there's not, you have to climb up it.
Well, even still, you have to climb up it in a way, but if you're up on the angle, that's where you're better from the one before to notice there's no foot pegs on it and to use that momentum to instantly get on and carry it over, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Or you have to have a really good tight foot lock around the pole when you get down to the bottom.
Right. Mhm.
From the look of the video I saw, it looked like there may be only one without a foot peg, and that looked like the last one.
Okay.
So beware.
You might have to climb up on that one.
Yeah, well, I think if you do it right, if you come off the last one with the foot peg and then get up high on that one, even if you don't get it to swing over, you know,
Mhm.
you can tap the bell from on it without getting it to swing. What's your suggestion there?
Well, a lot of times you think you can't reach something, but if you just put your arm out there, you can. How many times do you see somebody do that? They're like, just reach.
It's
And
true.
you're like, I can't.
It's
Can't reach that.
it's true. You do see people doing that all the time where they're like arm is half bent because they're too cautious and they're afraid. And if they just reached, it's right there. We
Yeah.
went to so we went to a ninja competition one time with my son and his buddy, and there was this kind of cool obstacle. It was like this perfect cube made out of steel pipe or whatever, and then a ring, and then another perfect cube made out of steel pipe, and then the dismount. So my son's friend Robbie, he got in the first cube, got through it, got on the ring, and just hung there, swinging. And we're screaming at him, just reach with anything. It was right there. It was like
Mhm.
he could reach with a foot, with a hand, anything he wanted. It was right there. Maybe could have bit it with his teeth. I don't know. But instead he hung there until he fell. It was just like I've seen a lot of times with people, they get stuck and they get stationary and they freeze up and they don't just reach, just go for it.
Mhm.
And remember, you have feet, especially with some of those obstacles. You can, if you need to, you can kick start the thing in front of you to get it to swing backwards.
Right. Yeah.
Lagaff, what else was there? The snake pit thing, right? Just use your feet. It's just like rope climb, except instead of going up, you're going sideways. Keep it
Yeah.
simple. But I
And we haven't seen with gibbons uh how many it's going to be.
no, history suggests 4 or 5 or 6.
Hmm.
To my knowledge, you cannot kick the bell at OCRWC. If I remember correct, I was looking through the rules and it didn't say it anywhere in the rules, which I found a little bit shocking. But to my knowledge, you've never been able to kick the bell at OCRWC.
No.
I think the only one still you can do that at was Indian Mud Run and Savage. But that said, in the past, and last year especially, Gibbons, if you could do 1, 2 transitions, you were fine.
Yeah.
So it could be that way. I hope it's a little more because it is a great technical obstacle. And
Hmm.
right now there is nothing else they use like it. And I'd like to see them make it for what it's worth. And if they are allowing the chicken wing, which they do, that just means to me you should make it longer and or at least, spread them out a little bit.
Yeah. The chicken wing technique definitely changes the obstacle. And it's not like people don't still fail with the chicken wing. It still scares me. And I've done the chicken wing with gibbons when the edges are of the actual hold are right in the elbow crease sometimes. So you have to be so careful when you put your arm into that second one and just make sure your arm is right in the middle of the wood peg and not on the edges.
So two words of warning for the chicken wing. I do not like it, and yet people who saw me at Indian Mud Run when I was volunteering there will say that I taught a ton of people how to do it. And yes, I did. And I haven't slept since. No, it's just okay. Yeah, I showed people how to do it because I'm trying to get them across. But I also warned everybody that showed how to do it that this is not that there are some perils to it. And word of the wise, I mean, Ryan, I when we and you were there when we went to Course Extreme and they had it. At least I think you were
Mhm.
there that time.
Yeah.
And a girl chicken wing and she came off and the angle iron cut her watch off.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Came that close to her. And then even we had our buddy Chris Otis over the other night practicing because he had not done gibbons in a competition before. And he tried it. And when he came off, it just took a chunk of skin out right beside there. It wasn't that bad. It just was a graze, but it just shows you how close and how quick it is. I mean, what is it? The hay's in the barn now. It is what it is. And if you can't grip it at this point, you're not going to build up enough grip strength by the time you get there. But
Yeah.
I do suggest that's something you work on. And here's some things that I used that mentally help technique wise. One, you do not, if you are going to grip it without chicken wing or without chicken wing, you don't need a lot of swing. right?
Right.
If you're going to skip, sure, go for a lot of swing. If you're skipping and you're that confident, you don't need my advice. But if you're worried about it and you're just starting with it, you don't need a lot of swing. Number two, lock the thumb over the fingers with your grip. Just make sure you can get it on there, right? So you got that lock in a little extra, might buy you an extra second or two, and that might be all you need. When you do your grip, think of it more in the form, locking that wrist over like an arm wrestler grip where you've cranked it over. You're probably not going to be able to hold that grip that way, but just thinking like that will again buy you more time and will keep you in a better angle. And also it will help you keep the rest of your arm, your shoulder, your lats, everything engaged. And if you keep all that engaged, you have a better chance of holding on. And the last thing is lift your feet up, pick your feet up. That again, by doing that is going to help keep your body engaged and keep everything going. So those are tips that help me.
With this one too, when I practice it, when I'm fatiguing is, so when you have one hand on your hold, and then you're holding the other peg in the other hand, as I'm swinging through, I hook two fingers on it. So it's matching, to get through it. So my weight isn't all hanging on one arm. You're still holding the peg, but you kind of hook a couple fingers on that bar as you swing through.
Now, I've tried that a couple times. I've never been able to get that to work for me, but I always thought it was a great idea. Have you ever tried when you did that, instead of hooking in the same direction, hooking the other way to stop the peg from rotating?
I haven't tried that, no.
It's just
but I haven't had issues with it rotating.
But maybe give that a shot this week. Just give it a try, because if you're able to do that other grip, that might just be, again, another, you might feel easier. It might not, but it might feel easier, and it definitely should curtail any rotation of the dowel. Just right. So, I mean, I would give that a shot. That's a good tip. Good tip. Regular rig tips for everything too, right? As many points of contact as possible. So if you can use your feet, use them. If you can use two hands, use it. I mean, and again, I'm speaking for people who are going to struggle on the obstacles. If you want a class on obstacle efficiency, well, that's a different deal, right? Then we're going to talk, lock offs versus monkey swing versus skipping, where and when. That's different. We're going to talk about people who are doing what they can to get through. So use as many points of contact as possible. Use opposing grip as much as possible. If, for example, you're going from a vertical grip to a vertical grip, you lead your lead hand, you go a little lower, your trailing hand, you go up above that one, and you'll traverse better. Just little tips. These are actually gold. I'm giving this away for free, Bethany. Skitch. How do you do with skitch? What do you think about
that? Well, skitch, I'm in a tight lock off with skitch, and then just small movements, keeping my arms in as tight as I can. And then there's probably going to be a transition from one bar to another. And then I throw my hips up to take some of the pressure off. And then as quickly as you can, I get as high on the holds as I can too.
Yeah. And that's perfect. That's the textbook way to do it. A couple of things that I'll say: when you're starting skitch, slide, like push off with your feet and slide all the way to that first transition.
You kind of run up and slide as far as you can.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to run. Like, just get your body up there. You're standing up and then slide horizontally and go with it. Then when you completed the transition, I find this has just been something that I've noticed. If I lead with my right hand. If I bring my kind of almost do an abdominal crunch a bit and bring my left hip up, that leans my body forward and makes it easier to shuffle along. It's just a little thing that seems to help. The other thing with skitch, though, is what if you can't hold the lock off? And there are a lot of people that can't hold that lock off. You're fine until the transition.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I rarely see people do it without a lock off.
Yeah. So, but there are a lot of people that cannot do that lock off. And if you are in that case, you get to that transition. This is where you're going to have to get that pendulum motion going back and forth with your hips, right? So as then you get that when you're going forward, that's when you got to take that one hand up and put it to the other side, and then same back. So I don't recommend the straight arm technique, but if some people have no other choice, that's how you get across when you're straight armed and you're on that, is just rocking back and forth, just like you would on a set. If you were trying to do shoulder taps or hip taps or whatever on a straight bar. And then when you get that side going up, your lead hand going up, transition, come back, get set, get it going. When your lead hand's going back, that's when you get the trailer hand.
Mm-hmm.
Complicated, but it does work. So last year on Skitch, somebody, and we think it might have been Kelly Sutton, we're not sure, but they kind of did the Skitch in like a one motion and just like bang, bang, like just at perfect timing that you kind of in your,
like 3 seconds.
yeah, in your mind and in your dreams, you're like, yeah, this is how that works. And nobody ever does it. But then somehow that person hit it. And it was pretty cool. That was awesome. Other obstacles that I think Dragon's Back, or what are they calling it?
Triumph.
Okay. Be brave.
Yeah. I
got nothing else.
I have seen people lose their ban on this because you just get so in your head. I think this is one where it's like you just don't think about it and you just jump. And I mean it's not really that far.
No.
Like I usually over jump it and I almost take my face into the bar.
That's not helping.
I know. But that's what I mean. It's really like you watch people do it and it really doesn't take that much to get to the next bar. So you'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, land soft. Like land like you're jumping off a box jump and trying to get that nice soft landing. So land soft with your legs, grab with your hands. You're going to be just fine. It's not hard. It's just a little scary. So
yeah.
Number one tip, be brave. And I forgot one thing about the rig tips too. Point your hand in the direction you want to go. I know it sounds silly, but I've had lots of people, I see them and they get going and they're stuck and they'll maybe be grabbing a stirrup in front of them or something in front of them and they'll have their hand in a supinated position pointing back to them. Well, that makes it really hard to twist your body around to get going. So point your hand in that pronated position away from you and you'll twist better. So same thing if you happen to get in gibbons and you maybe set the dowel in with your hand facing you, release, regrip the other way around. Don't take the dowel out. Release the dowel, regrip the other way around and get it. It's just a little tip. Keep going the direction you're going.
And if you've never done these races too, that just made me think of something. So Skitch and Gibbons, you have to bring your elements back to the bucket.
Yes. Yeah. Housekeeping.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think with Gibbons, you have to there's a stick and then you have to knock them out and then you have to bring your own elements back to the bucket.
And it is technically an obstacle fail if you don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah. And it should be. However, I do take issue with the way they set it up. Whereas I think they should make it almost like a side loop where you run into that obstacle from the side and there's a bucket with the apparatus there. And then you go through it and then you have to almost run out that same direction, but beside it. So you drop them in that same bucket. So you essentially can't leave the obstacle without running past that bucket again.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But I've never seen it set up that way and I've never understood why. Especially on this course where it's wide open and they should be able to do that easily. Valkyrie did in a lot of people. That essentially it's just rings going up on a 45-degree angle and coming down. You can power through it if you're good at pull-ups and whatnot and you've got enough strength in your biceps and your back and everything left. You can just power through it and come down the other side. I have seen people chicken wing up and down. The biggest tip I would give people is remember you can swing.
Yeah.
You can still swing and use that swing to help you go up if you're kind of struggling with it. But it can be challenging. But other than that, I don't really have any tips for that. Grow stronger.
Yeah. And that bell is also like you can hit it a lot earlier typically than when you're at the bottom. And if you have longer arms, you can transition. Well, I don't know unless they change it in the rules, but you don't have to go right to the top.
Yeah, it seemed like, wasn't it the one year they changed that rule? I think it was maybe last year where it was like people were transitioning too early and they're like, no, now you got to go to the top. So it was like some people had to go to the top and some people didn't.
Oh, okay.
That was a bit sketchy there. Like once you got I don't care which one it is, but once it's in place, that's the one and you run with it and you stay with it.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's the case. I think
this one was high to fall from too, which did scare me. Where it was like 22 feet. And thankfully there was lots and lots of straw, but it was still a really good fall when you fell from the top because I did fall from it from the very top.
Rye took many a tumble from the very top as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and she often says that was very good straw padding.
Yeah. Probably the most padding I've ever seen under an obstacle.
Yeah. Urban Sky seems to get more people than you'd think, and I think that's only because of the positioning of it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's right by the finish line.
Right by the finish line, and it's too bad because it's a really fun rig. Again, very flowy, very fun to do. One of my favorite ones. I always enjoyed. I do miss the 3-part one too, though, where it had like 3 different apparatus on it, and that was kind of cool. I like that one.
And there was a break between each.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think part of the problem with that was like what they had with the 100-meter, where people just started, jumping, one swing, hitting the bell, taking the break, and kind of took away from the technicality of it. So I do understand why they went away from that. Well, it's Canyon. We talked about inverted Valkyrie. You'll be all right. People will be all right. Ricochet, like we said, just bounce off the sides. That should be no problem. Yeah, I think those are the ones that really I find that get people.
So the heavy carries, there's one that says firefighter carry, the other says firefighter heavy carry.
Okay. So fit fighter, not firefighter, fit fighter.
Oh, okay. Sorry. My thing is very blurry.
I think you just need old woman glasses now. I think you're just getting to that point in life.
I do wear glasses, Dave. I don't have them on.
So the heavy fit fighter carry is essentially 2 of those rods. They're each 25 pounds, and it looks like a little up and down on the hill, much similar to sandbag carries we've seen in the past. The other carry, I believe you're going over like a little wall, and you're going kind of through this little speed course with one of the fit fighter things.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest.
It doesn't look that heavy.
Well, each one's 25 pounds.
Okay. So it's significantly lighter than the sandbags.
Yeah, but when you're doing the 2, that'll be 50 pounds, which was what the sandbag was.
Right.
And the 1, you're going through different obstacles. I'm going to reserve judgment on this because I can make fun of it for right now, but I'm not going to until I see how it works.
Okay.
I'm just going to leave it alone. We did see some of the videos, and I'm like, oh. It's a little cringeworthy. It did remind me slightly shake weighty. Is that what the shake weight was? Like that's the thing. Like,
oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. It was yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? At least they stepped up and they got on board and they are getting involved, and that's great. So that's why I'm reserving judgment and trying not to be a jerk about it.
Yeah.
I am disappointed that Rec Bag's gone, whether they were there or not, because it was a good product. And shame on me for not buying one. I blame myself.
Yeah, I grabbed a couple.
Yeah, you know what? Every time I went, and you can ask Ryan this, every time I went, I'm like, I'll go buy one next time. I don't have the $50 on me right now. I'll go buy it next time. Because we always, with the American cash and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Started to leave, we were walking, we didn't get very far. I said, oh yeah, you wanted the Rec Bag. I'll just get it next time.
My laziness knows no bounds.
You were so close.
Yeah, but it would have had to turn around. And an object in motion tends to stay in motion, and I was going that direction. I think it's done. I think I'd had enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pizza was probably calling me.
Did you want to talk about the team race map?
Yes. Do your work. It's funny. She's like, I think I should talk more. And I said, yeah, you should. And now she's just not going to stop. Yes, we want to talk about the team race map. What do you think of the team race map?
Well, so I didn't look at it very closely. To me, I just didn't understand the difference with, like they all kind of looked kind of similar to me.
Yeah. Oh, technical, don't they?
Yeah. And therein lies the problem. That so let's go back 2017 Blue Mountain, because that's where everything originates from with us.
Yeah,
good speed section, couple of things like regular monkey bars in it, some walls, things like that.
Yeah,
maybe could have used a few more obstacles, but they were on target. Technical section, very well on point, good technical obstacles, everything's done. Strength section, essentially heavy carry up and down the hill, and then heavy farmer carry with the bag up and down the hill. On target, very limited. So people
Well, and
complain.
in 2019, the strength person did do a couple obstacles too.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. In 2019. So what happened is at that 2017 one, people complained there's not enough for the strength people. We need to do more. And they were right.
Yeah.
Did need more. They should have more. However, yeah, what they gave them was not on target anymore. So the last year, which would have been NORAM that I did strength, we had to do Valkyrie. And I'm like, I'm cool with that. That worked great for me.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people, and I don't want this to come out insulting, but the Clydesdales, the Athenas, the people who go all year waiting for this is my time for my power to shine.
Yeah.
This is where my sled dog mentality is going to pay off. And screw you and your damn technical rigs and your speedy agile. I am going to plow through this because I'm a beast. This is their time to shine. And it's taken away from them. And that it bothers me, you know, because I'm only a couple of years removed from being one of those people. Right. So I find it sucks because I want to see those. I want to see them big dudes in the kilts hauling ass up the hill, carrying a heavy bag and dragging stuff and flipping heavy tires and doing herc hoists that some of the skinny runners can't even get off the ground. That's what I want to see from the strength section.
Yeah.
And I find now which one's in the strength section now? It's Canyon is in the strength section. That's going to be tough for some of those people, right? Like that's not cool.
Yeah.
So I would love to see, tire flips, more like plate drags. They have the herc hoist, they have the wrist thing, they have heavy carries. That's great. They got drop zone too, which is a rig of whatever difficulty we don't know yet. So I would like to see those things out of the strength section and just give these people some more power. Let them shine. Let's see what they can do. And let's make the big powerhouse an advantage on your team. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because now you're like, well, how do you divide up? And basically, you're looking at, because it might not necessarily even be your strong person. Like they still have to be able to do some significant rigs.
Yeah.
So it might change your strategies.
Yeah, exactly. And I look at that too, like, and this might sound like, that was a chance for people to keep their band. People who maybe aren't classic OCR to have a chance to keep their band, and I don't, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. And yes, this is World Championships, and yes, this is the best of the best supposed to come to play. But when you're advertising strength and speed as that part of it, that's what should be there. The speed people, you should be walls, kind of crawls, things like that, and like agility obstacle. Sure, put Triumph Dragons back on there, right? Like stuff that is about bombing through, about carrying lots of speed. And again, it's the same thing with them, right? I want to see some of those speedy people who maybe can't get through some of the technicals. I want to see the and oh my god, I'm gonna make him sound bad, but he's not like a guy like Robert Killian, who maybe not the best at technical obstacles, but he can fly through this, that stuff. I want to see. That's what I want to see there. And then when we get to technicals, I want to see Ninja Warriors. I want to see the people who maybe, I want to see Amy Patrick. Pajic. She knows who she is, and she knows I want to see her do that part.
Yeah. Well, and this is where we saw girls like Michelle Warnke show up at OCR Worlds.
Jamie Ron at OCR World, right? And they took the teams and made teams who maybe you look at and goes, well, this isn't a great OCR team, but because they had that amazing technical person and then they had a beast in the middle and they had just a speed demon at the front, all of a sudden they could run with the classic OCR power teams because they were so good at their individual sections.
Yeah.
And that seems to be taken away. It's like all the parts now are interchangeable because each section's the same. I know why they do it, because it's easier on the course design.
Yeah.
But it sucks. And it makes me sad.
But so now they would have to be almost planning backwards in a way, where you kind of decide on your 3 sections and then with the least amount of movement possible, and then you design your 15K course kind of around that. I think that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think so too. So
they have a lot of years to figure this out too.
yes, they have had time to figure it out. So this has been an ongoing problem. It was there in 2018 and 2019 for NORAM, and it was there last year for Worlds. And I don't know that it's going to change. I hope it does. And then there's one more part I want to ask you about. What do you think about the team section?
What do you mean?
So at the end, there's a few obstacles that everybody on the team has to do. Let's see if
Oh, okay.
I can dig it up.
Yeah. My thing shut off here. So have they designed them so that you need to work together?
Some of it.
Maybe not.
Okay. Team obstacles,
We don't really know.
Okay, so Triumph is a team obstacle.
Littlefoot,
Littlefoot,
Okay.
that's just so that's not, they're not really team. Urban Sky, Ricochet, and Cargo Climb. So my guess is no.
Okay. Yeah. See, I think it would be cool if they could do something where you had to actually work together to complete them. But again, now we're asking them to basically design new obstacles too. But
I mean, back in and I'm not, I'm gonna go 2017. No, I'm gonna go somewhere else. I'm gonna go to London in England.
Mhm.
And they had that
Oh, the high wall, the
they had
slanted wall.
great high wall, which was great. But they
Yeah.
also had one where you had to put these Atlas stones on essentially a stretcher and carry as a team
Right.
the Atlas ball on the stretcher. And that was a great team obstacle, right? They had two good team obstacles there. And I would rather see two good team ones than 5 ones that are just everybody do it. And again, these are getting to be more technical obstacles, and maybe your speed and power people can't do it. And then all of a sudden they lose their bands again.
So, and everybody has to get through the obstacle at the end on their own.
That's right.
Yeah. After in your 3rd day of racing.
That's right. Yeah, and so I mean that's where I stand. I love the team race. I think it is the most exciting race of the weekend.
Yeah.
But I do wish they would make these changes. And again, it's great, it's good. I'm not saying don't have it. I'm just saying I would love to see these tweaks to make it a little bit better and to, I think carry it in the right direction. That'd be good. Agree, disagree? You're on the same boat with that?
Yeah, I was just confused when I saw it because I didn't see a big difference with the legs. And I actually felt like the technical person was getting a bit gypped.
Yeah, we only get 5 obstacles. By the way, I'm running a technical leg. Yeah, we only get we only get 5 obstacles. And I mean they're okay, right? But
yeah. Well, plus the ones at the end, but again, everybody has to do that. But it might, I mean, having this format this time, it might kind of, it might make the race a little bit more tight. We'll see.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see. I do know that there is we talked about this with some friends earlier. So there's a powerhouse Canadian team and a powerhouse American team. And I can't wait to see them go head to head.
Are you revealing their names?
Yeah, because they've been posted online, right? So
okay.
You have for the Canadians, you have, and this is what I've seen online, this is what I'm being told, Atkins, Jesse Bruce, and Samuel Libert.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, I'm guessing Atkins on speed, Jesse on the power part, and Sam on the technical.
Yeah.
And for those of you maybe not as familiar with Sam and Jesse, Jesse's one of the best carriers, and that great. It does these power legs every year and has won championship in the power leg. And Samuel Libert, pretty much he may own a ninja gym or work there or whatever, but he's damn good on the technical and has won on the technical one as well. And Atkins, well, we've heard of him. So, but the US, not to be denied, and I'm sure they'll have other US teams, but the one that jumps out and that I know about is Rylan Shadag. Rylan, I can call him Rylan because there are no other Rylans. Ryan Kent and VJ Jones. So again, I'm thinking Rylan speed, Kent on power, VJ on technical.
Yeah.
And if you start putting those head to head and figure where you come out, it's a pick 'em, right? Like I'm gonna Rylan versus Ryan. Depends on the day.
Right.
Kent versus Jesse. I think depends on the execution of Canyon.
And Jesse's a smaller guy, so if it stays low.
And I would say that Jesse has more experience with OCRWC obstacles. I'm not sure Kent's ever been to OCRWC.
I'm not sure.
So as fit and as strong as Kent's going to be on those climbs and those carries, I'm not sure how he's going to approach that. And you're right, it does very much depend on the setup of it. So I'm going to give the edge to Jesse on that.
Yeah.
And then Sam and VJ on the technical. And I think through the actual obstacles, as surprising as this is, I will give Sam the edge through the obstacles, but VJ the edge on the running portion through there.
Right.
So I honestly maybe give the edge a little bit to VJ on that one. And it ends up, I don't know then how they all get through the team one together. And again, Kent hitting those slightly technical ones at the end. He might not be as fast going through them as, say, Jesse and Ryan is. So I think, wow, I'm gonna play the hometown card and give it to Canada just on like by a nose, by maybe an extra retry somewhere.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be really close. And I don't know any other teams other than those ones going in, but I just that's enough to keep my attention. If they just put those two teams out and let them only run, I will watch intently.
Yeah. That'll be exciting.
So also we do have we never even mentioned any of the competitors.
So you also, with those teams, you don't know any of the Europeans that are coming over.
No, I'm going to assume that Denmark is likely going to have, they'll probably do
a co-ed team.
Co-ed team, yeah, would be my guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think the Russian contingent is going to be very strong this year. So that kind of takes away a little bit because they have had some great teams. And I mean, so I think it is going to be fairly North American dominant. Yeah, Katrin Carlson, she's not coming to the best of my knowledge. So that hits Sweden hard. Yeah, I think it is going to be a North American team race.
Yeah.
But for the individuals, here's some of the men's name. And by the way, we didn't even mention this yet, with Spartan Ultra World Championship coming along, we do have an extra, I'm told Veerman is now going to be heading to OCRWC as well. So that's another. Okay. So I'm going to throw out some of the men's names here. VJ, obviously. Ion 3K for sure. I don't even think he's going to participate in the 15. And
really?
You know what I say, VJ? Fucking damn right. Screw these people who say you need to keep stepping up, you need to go further, you need to go further. No, you just be the best there is at what you do. And if anybody says, well, when are you going to start running longer? You say, when are you going to start running faster? And leave it at that. No, it's serious. It's like, well, he's not really doing OCR if he's only winning the 3K championship of the world. Whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
From the girl who ran 3K in college. Anyway.
I love the 3K. That was my race.
It's a great distance. I like the 3K too.
But nobody ever said to me, well, why don't you run also this other race? It's like, well, it's not my race.
But didn't they ever say, why don't you run the marathon?
Did they ask when I was going to run the marathon?
Yeah.
Like after I graduated, sometimes they'd be like, oh, when are you going to move up? Well, marathoners ask this question. But but people that race like 5s and 10s on the roads, when you're trying to run faster and qualify for teams, you're not asking, well, when are you going to do a marathon?
No. And you shouldn't have to. You should be allowed to be able to be like, no, I just want to be the best at this thing that I do.
Right. And
that's okay. I don't need to do a different thing. It's like nobody went to Usain Bolt and said, when are you going to run the marathon?
Right.
Or right. Your prize money should be smaller because you didn't run as far.
Right. When some of the highest paid athletes in the track world are 100-meter runners.
Because it's exciting. I don't want to. A lot of people don't want to watch a marathon because you don't want to watch a race where you can halfway through go for a drive, come back, and it's still happening. Hold on, I'll be back. I've got to walk the dog. Personally, I enjoy watching them still, but I'm an idiot. I'm a geek. I can watch people race anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to so we named one name, VJ. Well done. We're doing good. Ryan Atkins, obviously coming. He'll be running everything and anything, and will definitely be a threat in everything and anything.
Yeah.
Thomas Von Tonder. I love Thomas Von Tonder. I think he's over here. He's very underrated. People forget about him from South Africa.
Okay.
You know, big, strong guy. I like Thomas Von Tonder. Ryan Brizolara, again, underestimated, but does have good showings. Jack sent me these names, so some of these I do not know. Manuel Defoe, got nothing. My apologies. Jesse DeHeer, don't know. Again, Jesse Bruce, going to be out there, very familiar with OCRWC, very familiar with this setup. Question for you: do you think Jesse is in tip-top shape for this?
Jesse's in very good shape right now.
He looked big, didn't he? Like, I don't mean heavy, like overweight. I mean, he looked big. He looked strong when we saw him the other week.
So strong. Yeah, his training, his like qualifying for the Ironman World Championships, his training for that was just like his engine is just insane. So yeah, I think he could be in maybe the best shape he's ever been.
But that was the thing. Like, I wasn't surprised, and I'm not surprised by his engine, like you said, because he's been training for that. I wasn't surprised with his Kelowna performance either, because he had just come off an Ironman. But I was surprised at his size.
That he hasn't lost muscle.
He's gained. Like, I've been beside Jesse before, and often Jesse always felt like a thinner guy to me, like a smaller guy. When we were side by side this time, he did not look like a small guy to me. And I was like, he looks stronger than I've ever seen him physically. So
Interesting.
he has, you know, I don't know what's gone that way. But yeah, he looks strong. He looks really ready. I hope he does well. Ryan Kempson, last year's winner in the 15K, cannot be underestimated whatsoever. And as soon as you doubt Ryan Kempson, that's when he comes and wins.
Yeah.
So if you're not expecting it, and again, beholder of like one of the best passes ever over, oh my God, over Boomerang Man. Not Tyler Beaver, jeez. Oh, come on. What is his name? Logan Broadbent.
Logan, yeah.
I just need
Good
to
job.
go. Yeah. So yeah. Ryan Kempson, awesome. I do expect him to be right in the mix. I'd be surprised to not see him on the podium.
Yeah.
From my perspective. Jonas Drescher, no idea. Aaron Newell. Who I did speak to, said he was not 100% that he was going, but I believe he will be. And in the 3K, I think Aaron's a good threat. In the 15, he's still a good threat, but I think that I just think he's going to be more of a threat in the 3K, where the obstacles will matter a little bit more, and he'll be able to really take advantage of that. Will he podium? I don't know, but he will definitely be. You know, it depends on what Aaron we get that day.
Right.
But I do know this: he will be excited to be there, and he will be happy that it's not a Spartan race. Rylan Shadag.
Yeah.
And a bit of what do you think? Like, what's your initial thought about Rylan Shadag being there? Not about Rylan as the athlete, but Ryan being there. What do you expect?
Well, like he's so new on the scene too. Like he won't have raced a lot of these guys and they won't know who he is. So, I mean, it's kind of fun being the dark horse in a way. Like he's not here. We've seen what he did, right? Winning North Americans was really big for him. But yeah, he's not going to be well known with some of the people that are coming from outside of North America.
Now, I have seen videos. He has been going to the Ninja Gym, but I'm still iffy on his technical obstacle proficiency.
Yeah. I don't know. He's a pretty strong guy. I would be surprised if too much really held him up. But again, with OCRWC, it's also the accumulation factor of all of the rigs and just being able to keep doing it by the end of the race.
He did fail the Spartan rig at Kelowna.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, the question is there. I'm not saying he is not good enough. I'm just saying I don't know. I haven't seen it. We haven't seen it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we hadn't seen it with Deca either, and he just proved what he was. So he could very well come out and do the same thing, or he could get hung up. So even though I would say from an athletic, from a running, from every physical attribute needed, he's a podium threat. I don't know if he is through the technical aspect. And that's one of those where I wouldn't bet the mortgage on him, but I wouldn't bet it against him either.
Yeah, for sure.
Luca Pizzini, again, sorry, I do not know. Matthias Grout, well, don't know. And Jarrett Newby, again, constantly overlooked, but always seems to run with the big boys and does a good job and very proficient on obstacles. And yeah, it's terrain that's very well known to him. He lives in kind of that northeast area. So I think he'll be good. And our boy Leon Kofid will be over for the 3K only. And I don't know exactly Leon's running condition, but by God, I hope he's a podium threat because he is the most entertaining and one of the nicest people you ever meet. And
Yeah.
he's so good on the obstacles. He's always going to do something exciting. So
Mhm.
I can't wait. This will be my first time meeting Leon in person. This will be the first time meeting a lot of these people in person. And really excited. So I can't wait to do that. So of those, do you think you could pick a podium? Because this is not easy.
And this is for the 3K.
Well, that'll probably those are people that are showing up. So we have
Okay.
I think both VJ and Leon I think are only 3K, but I think everybody else is doing both.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh. Well, like VJ is not a bad bet for winning the 3K.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, Leon, he's focusing on the 3K too, so let's put him in second. And then I don't know any of those other names from Europe, so it's not really fair. But then we'll put Kempson then in. Oh, so
So
no, so
you left
now we're
Atkins
talking.
off the podium. It's tough. That's when
Oh,
he's not easy.
I know. I just know Kempson's obviously with focusing on the Savage series, it's
Mm-hmm.
his obstacle game is probably would edge out Ryan Atkins. But again, I hate ever betting against Ryan Atkins. So
Yeah, honestly, it is a horrible podium to pick. It's terrible. I'm gonna go with you, and as a win, I am gonna pick VJ because this has been his sole focus. I think he wavered from that for a little while, but I think maybe over the last little bit he got it reined back in and remembered what he
mhm.
wants to do and who he wants to be. I think this is just me as an outsider looking in. So I do think he has what it takes. Thomas Von Tonder normally I would say is a definite podium threat, but I haven't seen much of him. Again, maybe that's just where he's at and what I'm not seeing, so I don't know if there. Aaron, again, too risky. Depends on the day. You never know. He could be podium threat, and he could come 11th depending on what you got that day.
Mhm.
He's like me as a goalie. It just maybe a little too inconsistent sometimes. Leon, I don't know where his run. I don't know if his running can carry him there or not. But I sure hope it does.
Mhm.
And Kempson, yeah, Kempson. Wow, he's throwing darts.
Right.
BJ Atkins Kempson.
Fair.
Yeah. You ready? Thomas, Leon, and Jesse. There you go. I did, there's a lot there. I don't know.
That's what you said for the 15?
No, I was just joking.
Oh, right.
So for the 3, I'm gonna go VJ Atkins Kempson. For the 15, I'm gonna go Atkins, Shadag, Kempson.
Yeah.
And those are said with
Right.
100% uncertainty.
You could mix any of those three in any order.
I need a 3, I need a 5. I need 5 or
Yeah.
6 in any order. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not even thinking about Tyler Veerman, who is going to be there too and could be a threat.
Yeah. And the Europeans that we don't know.
In the Europeans that we don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Biggest thing obviously jumps out about the guys again, no John Albin. And disappointing because I do know that the people who win want to race and beat John Albin.
Yeah.
So whether he's ever coming back, I don't know, which would be a shame because especially I feel for VJ on this because last year he was prepped and ready and primed, and his goal was to beat John Albin, and John wasn't there. Not through any fault of John's, right? It just was travel as it is. And I think John maybe has just moved on to other things.
Mm-hmm.
And again, VJ is getting denied a shot to try and beat John Albin. So I feel for him. I really do. And people will constantly, even if he wins again this year, they're going to say, well, John wasn't there.
Yeah.
And, again, you can only beat who shows up. And
Right.
if they're not showing up, then that's what it is. And they're not the best you are. So deal with it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sean Roberts, too. Forgot about him. He's pretty good. Yeah. He's not bad. Yeah, Sean Roberts, but probably only the 3K. So yeah, whatever. Picking him's useless. It doesn't picking.
It is, really.
Yeah. See who we have or some of the women here. I don't have nearly as many women on my list, but I do have Lindsay, Annie
Yeah.
Doobie, Ida, Rose, Chris Rogloski, Ulrich, Tiffany Palmer, Sarah Backstrom. And I know there's going to be lots more, but those are the ones that Jack had on his jump out list for me.
And that's for both of them.
Yeah, probably both of them.
And me.
Yeah, and you. For 15.
Yeah.
Because you were late to the party.
Yep. I'm non-committal.
I don't think there's enough burpees in this one for you, Beth.
I know.
You're the only one who wants
strong suit.
the only one who wants more burpees than Spartan.
I know.
Yeah. Again, Addie bet against Lindsay. And I'm kind of disappointed we're not going to see Emma.
Emma?
I don't think this course really favors Emma. I know her technical proficiency is not there yet, but I'd still like to see her go. And I think she'd still do great.
Yeah.
Ida, I think, is going to be the one, obviously, to give Lindsay a challenge on the 3K, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she could probably pull it off.
I think so.
I don't know how much, and I say this every year, I don't know how much obstacle work Lindsay's been doing. I do know they put up some new stuff in their garage or their house or whatever to work on it. So, and she very rarely ever seems unprepared for anything. So I'm sure she'll do fine. But there was chinks in the armor last year. Like, I do know she really struggled with like gap.
Oh,
Stuff like that. So she is beatable.
mm-hmm.
But if you're gonna do it, you better be on your best game, and you better hope she makes a mistake.
Yeah, and I know too that this has been the A race for Rose Wetzel, who hasn't been racing a ton, but this one I think is the culmination of her season. So I think we're going to see a really strong Rose coming out to this one.
She put in a good one last year too. She put in a good effort at this race. I probably had counted her out a little too much. One of my personal favorites, probably not a podium threat as much, but I'll love watching Ulrich.
Yeah.
She's just great. That's somebody that I only talk to through texting. Damn sure I'm gonna rush Ulrich to say hi and yes. I love you, Ulrich. I'm a fan.
She has a cute dog.
Apparently she has a cute dog, so she wins points with the wife. So yeah, Ulrich and definitely and I don't know if she's going, but if Amy Padgett's there, I mean, the right situation, especially if it rains, man, it just changes the world. And same with Lindsay and Ida on that 3K. If it rains, that changes a lot.
Yeah. So far, the forecast is not calling for rain on the Friday and the Saturday, but possibly on the Sunday.
Yeah. So good names, good racing. 100-meter dash, I believe Joe Moravsky is making a return.
Nice.
And don't be surprised if you do not know the people that are going to win that thing.
Yeah, if you don't follow the Ninja World.
If you don't follow the Ninja World, you're going to see some different people. And I think you're going to see a very different outlook on the 100-meter. It is, I think, going to be a very different course than it was last year, where people are going to have to slow and be a little more technical, I believe.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see the long jump competition that you saw last year.
Yeah, good.
Hey, that was exciting. That was fun. And from a personal note, I don't know what the signal is going to be like there. I haven't set up anything officially, but I'm going to try to stream the 100-meter finals. If the signal's no good to stream it, what I'm going to do is record it, and then I will post it in entirety to YouTube after. So it'll be like a stream, only, maybe a couple hour delay. So yeah. And not like a 3, 4, 5 day delay that other streams have. But yes, that will definitely be it. And then I'm just really stoked and really excited.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, this one's always a highlight of my year. So
I forgot to mention, also running the Pro 3K will be me.
Yeah. Did you actually skip over your name?
I did skip. No, yeah. Well, Jack didn't write my name down. I was a little surprised. He didn't pick me. I was surprised. I'm hoping to go in the Race Brain draft. Maybe someone will take a waiver on me for sure.
The dark horse pick.
Definitely the dark horse, the dead horse pick. I think honestly, if anyone was to bet on me, they should get $1 for every person I beat, and it still might not be a great bet.
You'll have fun.
I'm gonna have fun, and I'm shooting for that not DFL. We'll see how it goes. In all seriousness, in the past when I've looked at my times, I shouldn't be last, but but you never know. I'm going into this one with very much the experience in mind, and backing up what I say all the time. If you qualify for the elite waves, and if you do it, be proud. It's an experience. You qualified to be there. Jump in, hold your own. If you're in the back, you're in the back. So what? You qualified to be there, and you can go to work the next day and say, "I came 50th in the pro wave," or you can say, "I came 13th in age group," or even podiumed in age group. Because if you tell people it was age group, they're going to say, that's nice. But if you tell them came 50th in pro, they're going to go, wow, that's pretty cool. So there you have it. That's my final thought. Man up. Don't be afraid to get embarrassed a little and get your ass kicked.
That's kind of where I'm at this year too, but
well, your focus is on a different thing.
Yeah.
Focus is a little more in November.
Yeah. But this race is just so fun for me. So it's always good to kind of check where my obstacle game's at. But yeah, I just have a good time. Finish with my band.
It is still my favorite obstacle course racing experience.
Yeah.
And is the one that in 2017 hooked me.
Yeah, me too.
So I think they do a great job, and there's just really nothing else to say about it other than it's the best race going. It is right now. It is the true World Championship.
Yeah.
So that's all I got, Beth.
Yeah. So if you see us this weekend, come and say hi. We'll try to get out some recordings, and yeah, we'll do a follow-up after as well. So everybody that racing this weekend, all the best. Go out there and crush it.
Take care. Dude, like building your own place is a huge task. And it doesn't look like you chinched on the corner, cut the corners either. You went like all out on the detail.
No, so I grew up and my dad always taught me do it right the first time, and I never really understood what the heck he meant. Like really I didn't understand it. Like we always just kind of cut the little corners, make it go quicker. And now taking on a whole house by myself, I'm like, oh, it makes a lot more sense. So you don't have to go back and undo stuff, and that little extra time pays dividends in the long run.
My old man told me to do it right the first time too, but I'm still in my third marriage.
It takes a few. It took me a couple of houses to get to this point. So
cool, man.
Charm.
Well, thanks for coming on. Bethany couldn't make it right now tonight. She's got lots of stuff getting ready for her gym and getting ready to head to Vermont, which is pretty much on everybody's mind.
I know.
It's like home turf for you, man.
What was that?
Like home turf.
It is. It's so nice. It's been a pretty nightmare of a year and a half, and it's just so nice to be able to compete in like a big race, like an hour and a half from my doorstep. So I got one of my really good friends I went to college with. He lives on the mountain. We go stay with him. Family's there, so it's a nice reprieve after trying to travel across country to the West Coast, which was just like a debacle this year. I gave up on it.
Yeah, man. Like, I know like your kind of relationship with Spartan is, let's call it up and down at times, right? But like this year when they announced the schedule, I don't know if it was in your original plans to be part of the series or not, but that kind of like anybody on the East Coast, it kind of was like a kick in the groin.
It is, and there's all sorts of arguments. They've had to come to the East Coast and deal with humidity and the time change, but it's really tough going west and dealing with for me that going from the northeast to the west is really tough. There's just not many direct flights, and then dealing with all the altitude and the dryness it just sucks. That's all. That being said, I was fully planning on doing the series this year. but I came out and realized I lost a lot of stuff over the course of like a year and a half. Like Stratton last year was, I think I barely was hanging on to some fitness from that year. Because I was training like 2 hours a week for literally 2 months, 3 months leading up to that race. And then, a couple of the other guys didn't show up, and I just happened to be a lot better at two things than everybody else was at all the things. So got lucky. But yeah, I raced Big Bear and completely like had nothing. And I there's no point in traveling across country and spending all this money if you're not competing to, I guess, where you think you can. Like, I just didn't feel like I could go out and race hard every race. And that's just it's hard to pull the plug, but I did it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize, man, like when you guys go out there, and same with the people from the West travel east, like it's freaking expensive. And maybe for like let's say 4, maybe 5 of you break even at best.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big roll of dice. You might as well be playing blackjack half the time. Like
it is, and it's it's funny. Like I grew up in Vermont, and I was in Cape, and now I'm up in New Hampshire in the White Mountains, where there's a big trail running, biking, just outdoors community, and there's a lot of athletes up here that are just absolutely monsters. Half of them, if they came in and just put a little effort into our sport, they'd destroy us. But I've got to know a few of them, and had some really good conversations. And like actually talking to endurance athletes that don't have big egos as most of us do in the sport. It's why we compete. That's not a bad thing. And the way our sport's been structured is just you race. And like some people can do that. I can't do that all the time. And just talking to these athletes that look at us like, what are you doing? Like, it seems kind of silly to race all this much. Like, why don't you just like hang out and actually build, a solid base and actually increase your ceiling and go out and find out what you're capable of. So it was nice having that influence because we just get caught up in the sport. We've been caught up in Spartan for so many years, or just racing in general. And I think it's good to get outside of a crazy sport and have a little bit better perspective on kind of endurance sports in general.
Yeah, it does seem like it's a completely different realm. The amount of racing, and we almost call this like the OCR trap, even for the elites, for the beginners, for everybody. It's like you jump in, you're like, wow, this is really cool. And then all of a sudden the next year you're doing like 26 races.
Yeah.
And you burnt. You're burnt out. And the people that do that, then the year after that, they're doing like 7 and then 3 and then they're gone.
Yeah. And it's, there's two factors. There's one, there's opportunity. If you're like want to do really cool trail races, there's not really cool trail races every weekend,
Yeah.
And then the second thing for the elites is historically when the sport started, there was opportunity. It was worth going to all these races. It was worth, doing the series because there could be opportunity to make some pretty good money and continue that realm. And whether like not, it didn't really matter if you showed up and had the absolute most stellar race, as long as you kind of showed your face and, raced your heart out. There was benefit to continuing to show up, whether that be getting on a pro team or a sponsorship, or for 3 or 4 years, that was, maybe being featured on one of these TV shows, which mattered. Which grew a lot of the potential and possibilities and opportunities for a lot of the athletes who started early in the sport. But now, this year, a combination of, not feeling good and just realizing it's been zero opportunity in the past 2 years. Sponsors are starting to come back. Like, I'm fortunate to have a few to stick with me, but that's why I look at a lot of these young guys and, sometimes I wonder what some of them are doing, chasing like a lot of these races. I had a lot of conversation with the guys early on. I had a couple athletes like mention like, well, I'm going to sign for nothing with Spartan just for the season pass because like I can't afford to race. And I'm like, well, maybe you should reevaluate what you're doing. Maybe you should get a better job or focus on something else, that's what led me to, partially what led me to kind of work on the houses and some other avenues for income, because I wanted to compete as full-time as I could and also not have the stress. So I kind of chose some avenues where, I can make money from different sources and have free time. It seems like to be the best way to do it.
Yeah. You talk about the sponsorships and stuff. Are you still with Athletic Brewing? Are you still with them?
Yeah,
or
still with Athletic Brewing, still with BJ Shoes. I was fortunate to be with Athletic Brewing from, I met the founder basically right after they started, and really good people, and they just have a really good mission. And they've kind of stuck with me. Like when I first started working with them, it really was me, and there's this one triathlete, Ben Hoffman, who were their kind of sponsored athletes, not just ambassadors.
Yeah.
Now I feel like they kind of just forget about me to a certain extent. They work with, they've connected with so many major athletes, and they've done a good job of getting into the college sports scene, which is really nice to see, supporting the athletes in college, because that's an avenue they can go down now. But yeah, they've grown so much. I've kind of feel like I've been just kind of sneak under the radar with them, but they're really good people there.
Yeah, we're big non-alcoholic beer fans. It's that one here, but yeah, it's yeah, they got a good brand.
Well,
I've seen them.
It's funny. That's why they started working with me. It wasn't because I was sober or anything. It's because I enjoyed the non-alcoholic beers at times, and other times I liked regular beers. That was the coolest thing with their mission, and the owner, he was sober, but he's like, I don't want everybody to be sober. I don't care if everybody drinks or doesn't drink. It's just, it's an option. And the one thing that he told me, he goes, a lot of people don't understand it. 2/3 of the country have either less than a beer or no alcoholic drinks in a week. So everybody thinks everybody has beers and drinks all the time, but the truth of the matter is, it's they went after a demographic that is massive.
Yeah. And I'm like that, right? I've never had a drinking problem, so I drink it because of the stuff I like the taste. I drink the ones I like the taste of, and then I move on, and I gotta admit, I do like it because we'll meet buddies for trail run. You run hard, you put out or whatever, and then you can smash 3 of them and get in the car and drive and not worry about it. And that's probably the biggest allure for me. Is
It is, and that's when I started working. My biggest message was it's about celebrating, and it's just nice to be able to celebrate with something, and just have different options. And it's funny, once you when you're hanging out after a trail run or whatnot, sometimes you think it's just the buzz from a beer, but it's really not. It's the buzz from what you did.
Yeah. And
that's what gets the conversation going. And it's just kind of nice to having something in your hand, and sharing something is kind of like sitting around a campfire. It's just a little icon to get things rolling.
So you kind of went this thing. You weren't able to do the Spartan at the beginning of the year. Actually, wait, before you even go there, you were talking about some of these shows and stuff to get on. I was surprised. And I remember this in the beginning. I was surprised there was no Kempson ever on Spartan Games. At least one of you.
I think my brother turned it down. I forget.
So he was smart.
Yeah, I was dealing with a neck injury. I probably could have pushed to be on it, but I honestly don't think I would have done well with a lot of the heavy stuff. I have a cervical neck issue, and I just I lift kettlebells and stuff, but when it comes to really heavy stuff and doing that over the course of a weekend, I don't know if I would have held up for that. I don't know. It seemed like a cool opportunity, but it was a lot of work for those guys.
Yeah, that it was. And you probably ended up better off anyway.
Yeah, I think so. There was a lot of drama, and I don't do well with that. TV doesn't like that. I try to stay away. Spartan
and reality TV, of course there's going to be drama. That's what the plan is. So you decided you weren't going to jump in the Savage or on the Spartan series. So you went to the Savage series, and you ended up doing really well there. And winning the thing. How did that feel? And did that at least keep your racing bug going?
Yeah. So I originally wasn't going to do the Savage series. I was in no shape during the winter, and I went down there like not training at all. I went down to, my cousin goes to school in Tampa near the first race. We just kind of hung out on the beach for like 4 days. My wife and I as a little vacation. I'm like, yeah, I'll just go out, have fun, and see how it goes. And I won it. And it's no matter what series you do, if you pop a race, it makes it really hard for other people to win it. So yeah, I decided like, all right, like I'll do these. I hadn't decided not to do the Spartan series yet, so like I literally just trained through all the races, trying to like build volume back. And I got lucky enough. I think that those races are short enough and match my skill set enough that I don't need to be super in shape to do well at it. And that's not a knock on the guys that are racing. Like Sean is unbelievable. He's incredibly talented. Even like Woods messed up on obstacle. If not, like he probably would have been in that the whole series. Aaron raced really strong the whole time. But what I found is a lot of those guys don't have, like, they haven't done the big Spartan. They haven't thrown their hat in the mix in some of these big races for years. A lot of them are kind of new to it.
Yeah.
And it just, they lacked kind of the ability to go like full throttle from the start to finish. And I'm only saying this because I shared it. Like I shared this with Sean multiple times. There's a point where they kind of just broke. Like when you're racing Atkins or VJ, you make a move, they make a move, you make, like, there's no breaking anybody. Everybody just keeps pushing to the end. So I think that was a big difference in that series. And it like I said, it fit my skill set. It's a lot more technical, like Woods muddy running than they showed on the broadcast. Like even Florida, like the first race seemed like this wide open run in the flats, but we went through like 4 swamps basically. Like one was up to our waist, like just bogged down. There was another like trench of like 5 foot deep water with weeds in it, like just things that just slow the pace down. And that, I think, fits my skill set a little bit better than some of the other guys.
Yeah, you love that crap, don't you?
Yeah. I grew up in the woods, running through the woods, and I was an endurance athlete, so I got to take advantage of every little piece of athleticism I can.
So you ended up with the win on that. And I'll ask you this straight up. So is Sean like the one guy that should be winning these things that has not figured it out yet?
I mean, like speed wise, he's plenty talented. Strength wise, he's plenty. Like he's even done some things in some of the obstacles that I can't do. But I think at the end of the day, like obstacle racing is so much different than running, because you don't just go, you start and stop 30, 40 times in a race. The legs get tired. There's more tactics. And I guess it's the age old thing since we've been doing this, until you prove you can do it, all those numbers don't really matter. They give you a good base, but they don't matter. And I was never given the benefit of the doubt because I didn't come from those numbers and whatnot. So I have it's a little sore on my side. So I don't really care what they say about the numbers. And historically, look who has done well at the sport: triathletes, bikers, steeplechasers, athletes that have a background of like good power strength training in their sport, or just power in general. There hasn't been many just pure track athletes that have come in and excelled well. So we'll see. I mean, he definitely started, like, he figured it out in Ohio, which was more of a little ski hill.
Yeah.
But he can't roll down a cargo now. Like he has some something to do with the neck or head injury that makes him dizzy. And so like that race, we're back and forth, he's pushing it, and then I put like 10 seconds on him there, and then, like that's a big gap in a race like that. So yeah, I don't know. I hope he does, because he's a good guy. He says some things at questions sometimes, but I think at heart he's a good kid.
Yeah, not being a great guy in the media doesn't mean you're not a great guy.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited to see him come out OCR Worlds. I hope he put in a good block. I think he was kind of training through Savage too, like getting ready for OCR Worlds. So hopefully he comes and puts on a good show.
So your mindset going into the last OCR Worlds where you were undertrained, you weren't ready to go, and you got lucky. You said it, not me. I thought you earned it. I thought you did pretty good.
Yeah.
Coming into this one, how are you feeling? Because you are now the defending 15K champion. You're the defending world champion. And I mean, I'll ask you one thing about that before we go further is, does that sit with you as I am the legit defending champion, or because it was a bit COVID-y and not everybody got out there, does it maybe take away a little bit from you?
It doesn't take away from the title. I've said this to a lot of people. I don't know why we went on this whole thing about putting asterisks next to titles and what, like the past year. Yeah, I kite surf, and so I'm like in that community. I watch a fan of it. You know, I'm not good at it. That's my boy sport. And there's all sorts of athletes with world titles because there's multiple world championships, and some people show up, some are injured, some don't. And you know, you don't see them like degrading other people for not competing against someone else. Like we get so wrapped up in our own sport, like that doesn't matter. Like we should be building up and promoting anybody who won any sort of title, because we're trying to grow the sport and build validity and support each other, you know, and bring positivity. So I never really understood that. Like if you call yourself the world champion, I'd have a problem with that. Like only if you win world, Spartan, etc. Like, you know, like Lindsay, like she is the world champion. She won everything, you know.
Pretty hard to argue.
Yeah. So unless you do that, you know, you are just a winner of a world championship race. So, you know, I didn't degrade it at all. I think the only thing I wish was I was so untrained going into it. When I race, I really prefer and have like pride in like putting my best effort out there. So part of me feels like I didn't do the race justice. You know, but there was a lot of extenuating circumstances with all that. So, you know, it is what it is.
Well, I thought it was absolute bullshit that anybody said anything like that about your RVJ's thing. I mean, like, because it's like, well, Alvin wasn't there. Well, you know what? You can only beat who the fuck shows up. So, you know, if you're the best guy there and that's the world championship race, then you're the world champion in C'est La Vie. Everybody else can just go fuck off.
Yeah, I would like. I'm the one thing this year is I actually haven't had a clean race. And like I messed up Gibbons, and that's why I fell behind VJ in the 15K. That obstacle I jumped on pendulum for the 15K. I actually did the same thing on 3K and made it, but missed the bell, just whiffed on it. So like nobody really saw that in the coverage. Like I was right on VJ there. So it's like, yeah, I just want to. And then the year before, or whenever it was, I think when it was NORAMs, when my brother had his obstacle there, I kicked the bell instead of hitting it with my hand. So it's like, just like to go and have like a race and not messing. Like it's all been mental, stupid, silly errors, and just have a good race.
I'm trying to see, because I did that one and I did it. And by the way, I think that was probably the best obstacle there and one of the best ones they've had, because it was so they switched it up every time. And it was one of those ones where if you were really talented and really fast, you could do it super quick. And at the same time, everybody could get through it at a different pace. So
exactly.
I can't believe, I don't understand. I'm sure there's reasons, but I wish it was back. I thought it should.
So they have it. So Adrian technically rents it from my brother until he pays it off.
Mm-hmm.
But they used like just the rig itself for the 100-meter last year. Like he has all this stuff to set it up, but I don't understand why he doesn't. It's like that's when my brother was getting into the building and whatnot. Like that was his principle, is creating stuff that anybody can get through, but it's going to take a long time, but it can reward athletic risk and ability that you can get through in seconds, which I think that is the healthiest balance that we need to see in the sport, because it's exciting, but everybody can get through it too. Like it's not hard to design either.
No, it wasn't a hard obstacle to get through, but if you did it fast, and I mean, I gave it a go and did it the quick way and did the double under the net. I'm still trying to figure out in my head how you kicked the bell, but that's fine. You must have almost been inverted.
I swung all the way from like little net, the one
Okay.
in the middle, and it was there. I'm like, oh dang, and I don't know. I was the only thing I could think in my mind. It was blue, and I was thinking savage. I don't
But yeah, anyway, you're going into this year, and like you say, are you feeling better trained? Are you feeling more ready for this one?
yeah. I always compare because I don't come from an endurance. Like I never really say like, oh, I'm fit. It's always just kind of comparing my training volume and stuff to the year before. So last year I went in, literally was July through September of 2 to 3 hours a week of unstructured training and work on the house and just taking care of my dad. And this year it's been anywhere between 10 and 15 hours a week of training, all focus. So, just based on that, either I'm going to come out like and crush it, or I'm going to come out and be really tired.
Possibly both. Hopefully both.
Could be both. Could be both. But I think it'll be good. I felt really good at Killington. Like I trained up to that race, and I figured because people don't like they said this race is supposed to be 4,000 feet of climbing, which is 400 feet more than last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like that within 8 miles is, I mean, that's a pretty heavy task to take that on as far as just putting an effort out for that. So I figured if I do Killington, like I can run that well. I should be able to hammer something shorter and less gain, for that duration.
Are you're doing everything this year? I know you're obviously going to do the 3 and the 15 again.
Mm-hmm.
Will you be in the team this year?
I may. I don't know.
I think a lot of people do that. They just there's a couple of teams that get together, and the other people just show up and wait for someone to need somebody.
Yeah, I think Aaron and I have talked about it with with another runner from up in our area, but we'll see. And I know it's my birthday Saturday night. My mom's going to be there. She's going to make good dinner and stuff. So I don't know. 2 days of racing is hard enough. Getting up for the third and waiting around. It's gonna be cold too. Like really. Like I knew it because of the kite surfing. I follow the wind, and I knew there was gonna be a north wind coming in a few days before, so I knew it was gonna be colder than it's been. We got really lucky in the past. Yeah. But the temperature is starting to plummet. Like the summit forecast is like Friday is like a high of like 34 or something like that, 35. It should be. It's gonna be a little bit warmer and sunny, but yeah, I think everybody's may not be ready for this.
Yeah, we're packing heavy. Like we're bringing the bringing the dry fit robe or the dry robes and the whole deal. Just
yeah, I mean, if it's dry, it should be all right. But like that north, if it's supposed to be in the peak like 20-mile-per-hour winds, which will be like 10 to 15, there'll be a breeze the whole time. That for some of the early heats with a north wind, that's with temperatures in the low 40s and 30s, like that's pretty cold. But I guess we don't get any water, so it kind of negates it a little bit.
Yeah, if it's dry, it's fine. I can handle it. We can all handle the cold, but it's just if it's wet and cold, that's when it's just freaking miserable.
Well, it's gonna be damp in the morning. It's that time of year. Like we've been getting some rain that it is moist up here. So like morning's gonna be damp and cold, and it's gonna feel a lot colder than it really is.
Well, you guys in the south, you'll be all right.
I think so.
So you've seen the course layout, all the obstacles. What are you thinking about the layout, how it's looking?
I'm really excited about the obstacles. They seem to make some of them a little bit longer, change like a lot of them they started changing up. Like last year was good, but it definitely didn't feel as much of an obstacle racing world championship as it should be. But this year seems like even the cool thing of that new little heavy carry thing, like through the obstacles, like super cool. Like it just provides like it gets you out of that Spartan realm where you just like it's hammering fitness with upper body, just pure strength, and that's it. So I think it should make a really exciting race. I'm sometimes not really sure about what they're doing with the 3K again with the climb, but I think I get it. I think they're just trying to, wherever they're going to put the world championship, they're going to make sure it's a representation of the area. So, obviously they're going to put the climb in there. It should be a little more interesting this year because it's not right off, like you're not just starting climbing up.
Yeah.
So because with just the climb, you get everybody with adrenaline, people jetting out. It should balance out some, but it should put like some really fast runners and obstacle people in front for that first, 3 minutes. And then you have the climb that's going to start. Hopefully there's lead changes. Like that'd be the cool thing. Like I think that's what we all want. Keep the pack close and, some fun battling.
I think, yeah. And I think they're going to, anytime they're on the side of the mountain, they're going to have that climb no matter what. It's just, it is what it is. And plus there's just so much space to go width wise. And I guess they just want to go up and down. Do you know anything about Stairway 3.0? Nobody seems to know. I can't tell. I can't find anything on
Stairway 3.0. I have no idea.
So either. No, we looked at that one and Drop Zone. We're waiting to figure out what those two are.
Yeah, people kept asking about that. I think there was a couple other I wasn't really sure about, but the 15K should be interesting. There's a couple of those new obstacles, and the fact that we get to the peak and we come down, but then there's still 2 more climbs and a carry. I think that's going to be interesting for the race. Because last year, like, you bombed down a massive descent, and then basically the race is over at that point. Like, you can just empty it. Now you got to empty it, and then you're going to see people going back up and down and up and down. So I think it bodes well just to have some good lead changes. It's going to be interesting having some guys like Rylan and Veerman there who haven't done this before and are like super fit. Because I think because of Spartan, they're probably more apt to try to like take it out really hard, and like maybe they just run away with it, or maybe they're not good at this race. I don't know. We haven't seen it.
You know, it's funny, man. We've been watching Rylan right the whole time, especially this year, and it's constantly been yeah, but he hasn't done this yet. Yeah, but he hasn't done this yet. He hasn't done this yet. And I mean, I don't think of him as an obstacle guy, generally.
Yeah.
But I know he's been hitting the ninja gym. He's been training. He's got the strength. So if he's figured out the technique, he could be freaking deadly dangerous.
He could be. He absolutely could be. But it's like the cool thing is we just don't know until it happens. I'm still a little up in there. Like I still haven't really figured out what happened in Kelowna. I know like he kind of ran away with it, but like it seems like everybody was failing half the things. And it just seems like a really odd race. I don't know.
I've heard some people say the wind was really whipping around in the spear area, and that's why a lot of people failed to spear. It was odd weather as well. Like, I mean, everybody was going there expecting dry heat and forest fires, and they got winter conditions. I think it just caught everybody off guard and ended up throwing a wrench and everything. And then the next day, it went out and looked like business as usual.
Yeah, I saw that. But I mean, part of that is, Atkins can just go and go and go. And these guys, like most of us dump our hearts into a race. We can't really come back the next day like he does. He's something else.
But yeah, it was like I said, it was just a weird one. I think it was just a strange location and a strange race, and it got different results.
Yeah. I was full on board no matter what happened here to go to that. But they canceled my flight. Like I actually didn't book it. They stopped. I was going to take a direct flight from Montreal to Kelowna, and they got rid of it. And then it was just like the traveler was silly. And then I found out it was at altitude too. And I'm like, I'm not going to travel 18 hours across the country. So like, just not worth it.
Yeah, that's tough. So this year you're headed in the backyard. You're ready to go. What's your prediction? How are you going to do this time? Are you gonna take it all? Come on, here. We want gambling information. There's a high underground OCR betting scene.
You always go in to win. I don't know. You should know that by now. I don't think I've ever raced a race where I don't put my neck in it. I'm really excited to get past the first 5 minutes of both races where the anxiety and everything goes out the door, and the race becomes a race. And that's why we love OCR Worlds, is because there are a lot of obstacles and there's a lot of the hills are up and down, and it becomes a race. You know, it's not just these flat out 3-mile sections of running to easy obstacles. Like there's tactics and strategy, and like you're not banking on anybody failing anything, but people do go slower. Like I have a video of going up the climb with Skitch last year in the 15K, and I was 10 seconds behind 2 of the athletes. Literally, like they're on the obstacle, and I'm walking up to it, and we come off at the same time. So like it's just, you know, racing hard at this race and getting fast into the obstacles and fast out of them. It's I think, you know, it's why we all kind of fell in love with obstacle racing and Spartan racing. You know, the Spartan race used to be you know, the terrain was ridiculously rugged, which is an obstacle. You know, the carries were a big factor. Luckily at Killington we had that, which made the race a lot more fun. And there's just variables at play that created a challenge, you know, and that's why we all still love OCR Worlds, is because we still get that, you know, and I think that's what's going to be a blast. So I'll come out, you know, everybody we try to win, but see how it goes. I really don't know. Like I probably haven't been put this quality of training in since 2019. So, you know, my time trials up, bunch of climbs from the spring and last year are 10 to 15% faster than they were. So you factor that into my performance last year and say, all right, if you could have run 10 to 15%, maybe a little faster, that should put you on par to running with you know, Atkins and hopefully Veerman and Rylan. And I think Sergey will be a good competitor. Igor will be back. I'm not sure about any of the other guys from Europe.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure if the Russians were coming. I didn't know if they were going to make it or not.
No, I follow Sergey, and they were doing a big photo shoot. So I figured it was for coming out here, but maybe they can't make it. I mean, Igor made a lot. I assume they can come this year. But I know, I mean, Sergey did good in Spartan Worlds, and he's really good. I don't really know. I haven't really followed much of the scene over there, so I don't really know who's good. I mean, I always have people like, hey, watch out for this guy, watch out for that guy, yeah. But I've never raced him, so I have no idea. But I think it will be a good battle. I mean, I'm sure VJ is going to put his stuff together. Veerman, Rylan, Atkins. Aaron hasn't been running much, but he always races hard. I don't know if Logan's going to be there. I haven't really seen much of him this year.
I saw him at Indian Mud Run, and that's about it.
Yeah. Sean will be hopefully fun to watch in the 3K. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we have some other people show up, you know.
Well, I think this might be the hardest year. Like we tried to do picks and stuff, and I think this might be the hardest year to do any picks for the men's field whatsoever. It's just it's very much a coin toss. So many of you guys are so close together that any of those guys in the list that you just rambled off could win, and at the same time could come 11th. You know, so it's going to be exciting. Really looking forward to it.
I'm excited to have Veerman, Rylan, Atkins, and VJ now, because that's a group of guys that in the past they don't have a history of like messing something up. They're always going to be ones clawing back into the race, and you know that's how I try to put my identity as well. I might not be the fittest, but hopefully I'm not going to be the one that fails something, and that tends to be that group of guys are the ones who've always been kind of consistent. You know, Atkins is the king of that. But the rest of us are very similar. Probably why we're showing up to this race.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you very much for doing this. We really appreciate it. We're definitely rooting for you.
Thanks, Dave.
It's going to be an amazing race, and can't wait to see you in, I don't know, a couple of days, man.
What are you heading over?
We'll be there Thursday afternoon.
Nice. Where are you flying into?
No, we're driving.
Wait, where do you live?
In the Toronto area, so it's about a 9.5 drive.
Okay, yeah, that's about for me to get up to Toronto. It's about that. So, yeah. Question: do you come down through like Buffalo, or do you cut across to like Montreal?
Buffalo. It's quicker to come down that way for us. We're about an hour and a half to the Buffalo border.
So that's what going. I think I'm gonna try to make it up to Blue Mountain, but it's about the same distance time both ways. But I think what I'm gonna do is try to go Montreal because it's only 2.5 hours from my house to the border.
Yeah.
And like if anything happens, I can turn around there and
That's
not.
exactly it. Yeah. Dude, that's exactly why we do the Buffalo thing too. It's the same reason. It's just
Exactly.
we get shut down. All right, we just go back home, have lunch, and we call it a day.
Exactly.
But it's it's gonna be good. And dude, we're 40 to 50 minutes from Blue. That's where we are.
Cool.
So
Cool.
it's great. All right, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And best of luck, buddy.
Take care, man. Thank you.